So this is the RAM 1500 that replaces the RAM 1500 TRX that I loved and have stated on the podcast and on camera that I have no need for a truck like that, but it's the one I'd buy as my guilty pleasure truck. This is the one that replaces that, now called the RHO, so the RHO, which is actually technically the RAM high output because it no longer has the cool Hellcat motor. And I hate to give away the ending, but I still want one, don't need one. It's still a guilty pleasure truck for me.
This truck is still a guilty pleasure?
Yes.
Really? Because I was wondering, because you love the TRX. This is the replacement with less power.
It is.
It's the RAM high output or RHO, but it's not as high an output as the TRX, which used to be around.
The Hellcat version, of course, 700 horsepower, supercharged, all the things. This is a straight six 3-liter. Twin turbocharged, okay?
Yeah.
So twin turbo. And it's got 540 horsepower and 520 pound-feet of torque, so that is down from the 700 numbers of the Hellcat, for sure.
Right.
It's still more, interestingly enough, than the standard Ford Raptor. Not the Raptor R, which was created pretty much just because the TRX existed.
Right.
The standard Raptor, which cost about what this does, weighs a little bit less, but also has less power. I prefer this styling over the Raptor. I'm just giving it all away. I prefer the styling over the Raptor.
Great.
I prefer the anger and feel of this over the Raptor. And my God, the amount of tech in this.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver.
It's crazy.
It isn't. Here's the thing that's happened.
Which?
Every truck you can think of is more expensive than you realize. I don't care what truck you're picking, okay?
Yeah.
You want to buy a base Tacoma right now, you're going to spend 45 or 50 grand. I mean, that's insane, all right? So this is what, 85, 80?
Just over 85,000.
Yeah, okay. So that's expensive. That is no doubt expensive, but I'm not sure of a technology that you can buy in a car at any price right now that isn't available here. You just turned on your passenger screen. We have heated, cooled, massaged seats.
Yeah.
I don't think the world needs this, but Ram's really excited about the fact that if you have all the screens on, you have over 50 inches of interior screens. We don't need that. That's how you shop for televisions, but it does exist in here.
Okay.
Technically, this engine is, while less powerful, also lighter, making the front end lighter. But underneath everything, past the engine, it's essentially the same as the TRX was.
Pretty much,
I think the actual engine, even though it has less power, I think this straight six turbo is better for normal life. You lose the cool noise and the bragging rights of the Hellcat, because the Hellcat sounded amazing. The supercharger whine, and when you really put your foot in it, it was an overwhelming, world-ending amount of power, okay? This isn't that crazy, but I think I'm just driving on the freeway right now. I'm gonna go do errands, whatever. I think this is the better engine for that, and you still know there's a ton of power hiding here.
So you like it? You're still digging it?
I still
That's
have
what I'm hearing.
Zero interest in my life having one of these. I don't need it. There's no purpose for it. Nothing about my life says, you know what, I should really consider one of those. But if I'm buying a guilty pleasure truck, a truck that just has performance to do crazy nutty things, this is still my choice. I really do like it. I'll also say this. I actually do feel guilty getting out of this.
Why?
Because I'm not the guy that buys a truck like this. I drive tiny little sports cars that I unfold myself from. I am not the guy that owns a truck like this.
Yeah.
And I get out of this, a big guy with an enormous truck, and I just think, and I don't know, I just think, what am I saying to the world? What message am I putting out when I park this truck?
I mean, most truck owners don't care, but...
True, but I was pondering that. And the other part of the equation is, I know this is ridiculous to say, this is much more efficient than the Hellcat. Not why you buy a truck.
I mean, more slightly, not much.
I'm not saying it's efficient, full stop. I'm saying compared to the TRX, it is more efficient. We were running single digits in the TRX.
Yes,
I am at an average of 12 right now.
Okay, you're right. We did get it down to like just above 9.
We were doing when we were really pushing, we were doing 6. I didn't drive this anything like we drove the last one, because the last one we threw off of sand dunes, okay? So I felt like, all right, since this is the same running gear, I needed to drive it in all the ways we didn't drive that one, which was just normal life. I ran errands in it. I went through drive-through. I looked down on the people in the drive-through because it's that big. I struggled to park it in a small parking space.
Okay.
I drove it normally.
This is funny.
And because I know it'll throw itself, we'll show you clips. I know it'll throw itself off a sand dune. That it can still do. We are on a dirt road that can get nasty and is a joke to this. It's a joke.
Sure. I mean, right now with these conditions, a Camry could drive up this road. But
yes, if you were dedicated, for sure.
Okay, so you've established that TRX RHO doesn't really matter. You take the inline six,
and I do think as a daily the engine might be better. As a normal usage, I think the engine is better. It doesn't have the grandeur, it doesn't have the personality of the Hellcat engine, but this engine is so usable in normal town usage. 6,500 pound truck. It's just a usable engine to move this behemoth.
Yes.
And when you want, there's a ton here.
It's not slow. It's not.
I mean,
slow.
it's like a couple of tenths 0 to 60 off of the TRX Hellcat motor, and that was in the low 4-second range for this rolling house. I think we're fast enough. We'll be okay.
Huh. You know, I didn't really think I'd like it because of the 6. But I kind of do.
Okay.
And I realized that I have a case to make for this configuration.
Okay.
Now, as you said, not only is it a little bit lighter in the front end, RAM tells us the entire driveline is about 150 pounds lighter than the TRX. It's got the same styling. It's pretty much got the same interior. It's really good looking. But the difference is that inline 6. And I thought, for $85,000, is that going to be a tough sell to buyers who really judge pickup trucks by the noise? That is very important, especially upon startup.
Yes.
Doesn't crack through your neighborhood.
It doesn't
wake
do
everybody
any
up.
of the personality things the Hellcat motor did.
It really doesn't. But they're also thinking, for 85 grand and I still don't get a Hemi? No Hemi? Like, that's the whole point. I mean, Dodge, Ram, Hemi. Like,
isn't that why Dodge exists?
85 grand and I don't get a Hemi? Like, what do you deal over?
Yeah.
But I have this case to make. And that is, when the second generation Dodge Ram appeared on the market, they made it look like a big rig, like a semi-truck.
Back in that was like the 90s, right?
It was 93 when they introduced the concept, and then it came out in 94, and it had the fender, the look of that semi-truck, the big rig, the 18-wheeler.
Yep.
Of course, all the Peterbilts, the Kenworths, the Mack trucks, the Freightliners, Internationals, all those Class A trucks, that giant hood is hiding not a V8.
True.
It's an inline 6.
That's a good
So
point.
actually, this concept really aligns better with the original Dodge Ram that we all love that look of.
Yeah.
This actually is better, and you're right, the engine makes plenty of power. It's not a V8. It doesn't make as much.
No.
But it's my understanding the prior CEO of Stellantis, Carlos Tavares, mandated that every brand under the Stellantis portfolio was not allowed to buy credits to gain their efficiency ratings. So that's why he mandated the inline 6, but I guarantee you, I don't think he thought about the inline 6 matching up with big rigs.
Well, good point.
He just did it for efficiency's sake.
And it is more efficient. Technically, it's more efficient.
And it's still got a lot of power, and therefore, it's still a great truck.
Yes, I agree with all of that. Also, I'll say this to you. If you're buying a Ford Raptor right now, you're buying a 6-cylinder.
Exactly right.
Used to be the original Ford Raptor was an 8, but now it's only available as a 6. So this is the market right now. I desperately miss the sound.
It matters.
Of the Hellcat motor.
It matters.
That whine and the just the growl of it. It is missing here, but the power's not. And I've thundered up this road that gets graded like twice a year, and I just don't care. And I know, because we've done it before, that this thing can be launched off a dune and get really nuts. But I was surprised, besides the fact that it's enormous, how straightforward it was to actually treat like a daily. And I think more straightforward than the prior version because of the engine change.
Yeah, look at all these cameras. You've got auxiliary camera inputs in the interior. You've got views everywhere. I mean, you kind of need it on a truck this enormous. And in comparison to the pickup trucks on sale on the market, this is pretty average. But it still feels huge. But it's that cool styling. Look around the truck. It's very refined. It's very, very close to the prior TRX, which we really liked. Those flared fenders.
Technically, this 2025 is the refresh of the Ram in general, and so we've got the
slight
RHO
differences.
version of that. It's like 10% tweaking. It's all just tweaked around. Somebody had
Yeah.
the last version up in CAD and was like, nudge, nudge, we're good.
Totally. I mean, the grill slightly different, but the RAM logo, it's a flow through for the airflow up front. The headlight shape is really refined. It still has those big rig, the running lights, the orange running lights right at the leading edge.
Which
of
is
the
a
intake.
requirement based on height.
Okay, so
You
that's
get to a
all right,
certain
fair
height,
enough,
and you
fair
have
enough.
to put those up there. That's because this is enormous. We're big guys. I keep forgetting how tall this is, and I keep
huge.
not using the side steps and nearly hurting myself. It's a long way down.
That's why it's got great OSGs.
Yes, you got to hang on. You practically need climbing
great.
gear to get out of this thing. Anyway, onward.
So look at the fenders. They're really flared. It's got a nice stance to it. The wheels and tires, the 35s, look great on this truck. Power tailgate up and down, which is very handy.
Very cool.
And it has the sliding step. Most pickup trucks do now. You kind of have to have that. Because it's so huge, you got to get up in the truck. You got to
for
have
sure.
that step. Yeah, all the details are really refined. The intake's right by the lights and how it actually flows air through the fender. It's really good looking. And then I did notice underneath those great Bilstein shocks. And I still noticed the switch, which I believe is jump detection from the prior TRX, is still at the rear connected to the entire suspension. So when it drops and goes light, it knows the truck is in the air. Yeah, the features on here, it's made for high-speed overlanding. Even it has Baja mode where it throws 75% of all the torque to the rear axle, and it's just a drift machine at that point. It has all the modes, sport and winter, and
It has a launch button.
endless customization, and it shows you what it's done to the suspension, the steering. And I do think that's what the use for the screen is. It shows you so much detail.
Yeah.
But then in the interior, there's still a nice balance between buttons and screen.
I agree.
The buttons are vertically here, and once you get used to them, it's still easy. The ones you jump to right away, it is still nice. Fan speed, volume, all the stuff that you want.
Yep.
Really appreciate that. And then, of course, over here on the passenger side, have you noticed that when you look at this screen,
I can't see
it's
it.
blacked out.
Can't see it.
So you can't be driving.
Done the polarization. And here's the
look over.
crazy thing about it. Of course, it's a big pickup. All big pickups have got many more plug-in USBs. Like everybody in the car is supposed to have like 3 phones. That's how many USBs are in here. We're supposed to have a ton of devices.
It's crazy.
But there is a HDMI plug down here for the passenger to feed an HDMI video signal only to their screen. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. Think about it. Ferrari introduced the passenger screen.
Yeah.
Porsche has it on some things now.
Yes,
This
yes.
is a RAM pickup for under $100,000, and you have a blacked out passenger screen.
You look around, and even right here, just like the TRX, it's got the plaque with the VIN on it.
Of course.
RHO
Shows you the
everywhere.
power.
But you know what? It doesn't have to beg for your opinion. It doesn't have to convince you it's cool. It is cool. As soon as you drive it,
I
sort of-
agree.
yeah, even with a 6, we'll take 100 more miles out of a gas tank, out of the 33-gallon
Yes,
tank.
you're supposed to
approximately.
get almost 100 miles more on a tank of gas. That is astonishing.
That's not a bad trade-off. It really isn't.
This is what's happening in the industry in general. Powertrain, what it is becoming less relevant as long as it works to get the vehicle to do what you want it to do. And this, it does.
All right.
You got to drive. Be careful, it's a long way down and it's muddy.
Okay.
I'm letting
Do
you
you think
know.
she can?
Oh, she can handle
Handle
it. I'm
it?
just not sure if we can get back up in and out of the mud, but we'll try.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm worried about us, not the truck.
Got it dirty.
What it's for. Suddenly I can see this screen.
Yeah, I can't.
That's pretty
It's totally
cool.
blocked out.
That is really nuts that it
at
does
that angle.
Yeah. This has so much tech. You know what else bit of tech this has that I was surprised by and I even used? It has level 2 plus smart cruise control.
Oh, you tried it out.
On this monster.
How did it do?
Depends on what you throw at it.
Needs refinement, is what I'm hearing.
No. This is a 6,500-pound long suspension travel, high riding, massive pickup. That's a lot to ask the little computer brain to think about. And if you're on a freeway or you're on something that has gradual turns, it's actually fine. It kind of centers in the lane. It drives like an early driver, kind of centers in the lane.
Yeah.
Some of its movements are a little jerky, but it's okay. It doesn't ask you to put your hands on the wheel very much. You can barely touch the wheel, and that's enough. But God help you if you find a big corner. Because as soon as it has to turn the wheel past about, 5%, and you feel the weight shift of this truck, the entire dash lights up red and it freaks out and closes. This is smart cruise control for your highway commute. It is not actually thinking beyond that, and it was really funny to watch the truck make a sudden steering turn and then go, I can't do it, and freak out.
Well, good news, everyone. At $85,000, this is about $4,000 less than what the base TRX
Sure.
or was.
Yeah, I get you.
So about 2 fewer cylinders is about, okay, $4,000 less, and it still does everything. It's still got a lot of power. Okay. A lot of tech, a lot of really great interior amenities. The rear seats
They're
are
massive.
heated and cooled too.
They're massive.
Massage seats up front. The interior's enormous. I like the truck. I do. I don't need it.
No.
8% of me is interested in this, and this is your guilty pleasure truck, so I think we both appreciate it a lot.
It'll tow over 8,000 pounds.
Which is
Excellent.
Impressive.
I mean, here's the thing. Sometimes these off-road performance trucks lose towing capability because they're designed for other things. 8,000 pounds is still plenty. Okay, so that's excellent. I have no use for this whatsoever. Frankly, I don't know how many people actually have a use for this, but it is really cool. I know what it can do when you really throw it off jumps and stuff. I know it can do that.
Yeah.
I am surprised at what a luxury vehicle this is. In
Yeah.
spite of all that capability. I must say that, look, the base price of this is significantly lower than the Raptor. This has a level 1 pack on it. It's like the worst named package ever, but it's a $10,000
RHO level 1 or
package.
whatever. Yeah.
And that package is what gets us all these extra amenities, the secondary screen, the heated and cooled massage seats, a lot of the stuff that really elevates this to I can't believe what we got for the money at 85 grand is that extra $10,000 package. I think without that, it starts to feel a little bit less like a value for money. But my favorite thing in the press material was Ram, Dodge, everyone to talk about, the Stellentarians, talking about how this is the most horsepower value for money in off-road performance trucks at only $129 per horsepower.
That's what the marketing team came
It
up
was
with?
actually in the press materials.
That's
They
what they
actually
came up with?
did the numbers to suggest to you what your dollar per horsepower figure was, and it makes this a value. I'm not sure that makes this a value, but I appreciate the effort.
You know what they're trying to do is justify the lack of two more cylinders.
Of course they are.
To their audience.
Of course they are.
Because everyone will ask, 85 grand, not a Hemi?
Yeah.
85 grand is not a V8?
Yes.
Are you? No.
Well, where'd the Hellcat go is what they're really going to ask.
True.
Yeah.
And now we're even hearing, if you watch this in the future, when Stellantis has reintroduced the V8 in this thing, well, great. We're just hearing rumors right now that because that's what customers want. There's nothing about this that I can think of that really is like, bummer. Only at inline 6, huh? Because it gives you something for it.
Yeah.
Gives you better economy,
Yeah.
and it's still got great power, great amenities, slightly less money, and it's still a cool looking truck. And back to specs, it's still, the hard points on this truck are different. So it has 14 inches of suspension travel in the rear, which is what you want when you're doing high-speed overlanding, and especially when you don't want those rear shocks to overheat when you're going 100 plus over
or
terrain.
You're launching yourself off a dune. I mean, this has totally different hard points than the other Ram 1500s. That is crazy, but it is underneath essentially the TRX with a different engine.
Okay, can we all accept that? We like inline 6s. They rev great. They make a lot of power, and still, back on pavement, it's decently smooth. It still rides like a truck, but that multi-link rear in the Ram is one of the better live axle suspension setups we've felt.
I actually think it
decent.
rides better than you expect a traditional pickup to ride.
I mean, you still feel
the
that axle.
The
back
problem
there,
is you
but-
never get away from the sheer scale of it, and it is enormous. And anything you ask it to do, you're aware of the scale.
burn some gas.
Do it. Do it.
Ooh.
As we sling butt, we're going to destroy windshields slinging butt off this thing at that speed.
You know, it's not like it's disappointing. Yeah, the TRX was slightly quicker, but how
Yes.
often are you doing that? And you can do the on-ramp punch the throttle,
Yeah.
and think to yourself, I saved a little bit of gas.
Saved a little bit of gas over the Hemi. No one's going to know. but technically I am more efficient. If you're wanting this, or you want the prior TRX, or you want a Raptor or some other crazy truck, you have to check out Autotempest.com. That is the best possible place to search all of the car sites. It searches them all under your parameters as fast as most sites do by themselves. You could find the old TRX if you're all about the Hemi, but I want to shop for the RHO. But you could look at the Raptor, you could get a normal truck. Why would I get a normal truck? I don't even want this, I don't even need this truck. But I want this truck. And that's what Autotempest.com is good for. Autotempest.com/everyday, so they know we sent you. You've got to go there. All the cars, one search.
Okay, so what do we say, if you own this truck, somebody rolls up to you next to you at the light and says, "Is that thing a Hemi?" What do you say?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's the answer. Doesn't
Okay.
matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
This is huge and quick and capable.
So maybe you just say, "Want a race?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That thing a Hemi? Nope. Want a race? What?
Short of a very few number of things, this is going to give everything a run and maybe beat it.
Yeah.
You've got to have some serious hardware to get. Look, you have to be below 4 seconds 0 to 60 to beat this truck.
It's a sweet truck.
I can't believe the amenities in here. I hope when I'm the third buyer that all this stuff still works. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know. There's no way to know yet. I'm not the third buyer yet. This is brand new and it all works great. I want the massage seats to still work. I want all the stuff to still work.
Look at that. The gas needle has barely moved.
It has barely moved, yes.
That's the best news of all, right?
I mean, the other one, you could watch it drop in real time. I mean, in the grand scheme,
Yeah.
we're still in the teens if we're lucky, which is horrifying in the modern day for MPG. We saw like 6 to 9 in our entire time with the TRX.
Well, because you
And
want to
we're-
hear it. You
And
wanna
we're hanging out with like 12 with this one, which is abysmal, and yet almost twice as good.
12.7. We went up a notch.
Look at us.
12.7 right now.